Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Welcome back to the Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut. Today's guest is someone whose story stopped me in my tracks. She is living, breathing proof of what happens when women are told no and choose to say yes to themselves anyway. Philecia La'Bounty was just 29 years old when she found a lump in her breast. But despite her instincts and despite asking for help, she was denied a mammogram twice. She had no family history, no genetic predisposition, and no insurance at the time. The system failed her. By the time she was finally diagnosed, the cancer had already spread to her lungs, sternum, and lymph nodes. She was told it was stage 4 and she might not live to see her 35th birthday. But she's here. She beat the odds once, and now, after a recent reoccurrence of a more aggressive HER2 positive breast cancer, that's the strain she has, she's back in the ring using her voice to fight for herself and for every woman who's been dismissed, delayed, and disbelieved. In this conversation, we're going to talk about why breast cancer can be so aggressive in younger women, how social media is becoming a lifeline for modern advocacy, what changes are desperately needed in screening guidelines, and how Philecia is redefining what survival looks on her terms. She was denied a mammogram. Now she's leading a movement to save lives. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, for giving me such another amazing platform to do what I love doing. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, so let's dive right in. Breast cancer is often framed as something that happens to women over 50, but about 10% of all new breast cancer cases occur in women under 45, and those cases tend to be more aggressive and more fatal, particularly in women of color. Now, when you first felt the lump and were told you were too young to be at risk, what was your gut telling you, and how did you find the strength to advocate for yourself in a system that was clearly not built to protect you?
So the first time they denied my mammogram, it just didn't sit right with me. I had had my cycle since I was 12. I'd never had a cyst in my breast before. I was 29, almost 30. It just didn't sit right. And so I asked again. I said, I'd really feel more comfortable if we did a little bit more testing. And they just reassured me the ultrasound showed it was just a cyst. Your blood work is great. You feel and look great. You're totally fine. And when the cyst just kept growing, I kept pushing away the thought that it was cancer, but just something inside was like, okay, we need to go get this looked at, whether it's just for aesthetics or just for my peace of mind. I need to go back in. And that's when I said, hey, it's growing. It's pretty large now. I still feel fine. I had no other symptoms. You would never know that I had that much cancer in my body, but I just went back in and I said, it's really starting to bother me and I would like to get this taken out. And then it was mammograms, MRIs, CT scans, PET scans, biopsies, and everything in between. And all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, I was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer.
I am so sorry.
Thank you.
And that right there is the emotional cost of systemic gaps in care. You knew your body and you were right. And I hope every listener takes that as a reminder to trust their gut, right?
Yes, please.
So stage 4 breast cancer, what the medical community calls metastatic, means that cancer has already spread beyond the breast. For many, it's considered terminal, yet here you are. What was the emotional and mental process like after receiving that diagnosis, and what helped you pivot from despair to determination?
When I so I actually got the diagnosis that I had cancer in my lungs. So I went to the ER. I was having a ton of anxiety. I knew that something was wrong, waiting for all the tests to come back. I'd never had a panic attack or anxiety attack before. And I told my boyfriend at the time, I said, I'm going to go to the ER. Everything is closed. It's 8 p.m., but I feel like I can't breathe. I feel like there's a weight on my chest and maybe they can just give me something to get through until we get all the documentation. And after being in the ER for a few hours, the doctor came in and said, well, you can't breathe because of all the tumors in your lungs. And I just dropped and started crying. And my boyfriend at the time, said, we didn't know that yet. We've been waiting for the tests. And the doctor just left the room. The nurse came in, said, we're calling your surgeon and your team that you've been talking to, and they'll reach out to you. And they discharged me. But I just immediately knew that I would do everything in my power to fight and fight for my life and fight for the future that I dreamt of and wanted. And you say 10%, it feels much, much larger with the women reaching out to me on social media. And I feel like I don't even know any women above the age of 45 being diagnosed. They're all diagnosed below 40. And it's just an epidemic that we're dealing with right now.
Wow. It's incredible how trauma can birth clarity. I mean, you're very, very specific on your intent. And I think your story is a reminder that mindset is not just emotional, it's medicinal, right?
Absolutely.
Your thoughts can heal you. Now, after years of remission, your cancer returned. So we're currently talking about this time HER2 positive, a subtype known for being fast growing, but also highly targetable with newer therapies.
Yeah.
How did this second diagnosis reshape your understanding of your own health? And how are you navigating treatment differently this time?
It was definitely a punch in the face. I was actually 2 weeks out from my double mastectomy when the state assisted insurance I was on dropped me. And I had 2 weeks to figure out what I was going to do. And they just told me, oh, just postpone the double mastectomy, figure out your insurance. And my heart was like, no. So I called my mom and my cousin. I said, find me insurance. I need help. We all need to be on this. I don't care how much it costs every month. We will all help pay for it. I'll get a third job. I don't care. Got me insurance. We did the double mastectomy. And that's when they found the HER2 positive breast cancer. Had I not done that, I guarantee I would not be sitting here today because I wasn't due for another scan for another 6 months.
Wow.
And it was a punch in the gut. I was like, oh my God, another type of breast cancer. Like, how is this happening when I've been getting scans and going through chemo and I'm on immunotherapy and I just entrusted in my doctors, my amazing oncologist that has truly saved my life. And she's just always told me, Philecia, we think decades, decades, and decades. So we just regroup, reconsider, and we continue forward. And I just put my trust in her and her team and in myself, knowing that I'm not done here on this earth, that this is not going to take me.
Your transparency on social media, I saw you on Instagram, but I know you're active on TikTok as well. You've reached millions. You've shown the pain, the ports, the scars, and the strength, and that kind of storytelling really matters. Has sharing your journey online been more cathartic or vulnerable for you? And how do you balance healing while being so public with your pain?
Thank you for that. And it's there's times where I just don't look at any comments. I just post what I feel that I need to get out. It's almost like a therapeutic one-sided journal therapy session that I can kind of just get out what I'm feeling. I don't have to converse about it. I can just get everything out and move on. But I know that I would never want anybody to be in my position. But had I seen just one woman as young as myself or anywhere close to my age dealing with breast cancer, I wouldn't have listened to them. I would have called my mom and had her put a mammogram on her credit card, or I would have gone to Susan G. Komen or what have you. And so I know it's really important to do that. And although I never wanted to be known for crying on the internet and showing the most vulnerable traumatic experiences of my life, I know that it's greater than myself. And we have a duty to serve others and to help our communities. And that really is what fuels me is when I get a message saying, I have a lump and I wasn't going to go to the doctor. I saw your video and now I'm going in. Thank you. Or my mom had been talking about a symptom and I showed her your page. She went in and she's only stage 1. You saved her life. Thank you.
Oh,
Like, yeah. Like those are the moments when I know that although I don't want to cry on the internet. I don't want to show myself in ways that make me uncomfortable and vulnerable. But if I can save other people's lives, how do I not do that?
yeah.
Like there's days I don't want to do it and I want to stop and I want to stop crying and talking about how what a nightmare I live every day. That's not a fun feeling to continually tell people how bad you feel and the trials and tribulations you're going through. But when I save other people's lives, it's just something so much greater than myself.
That authenticity is rare and so powerful. You're helping people feel seen in their silence, and you're saving lives, and your story is transforming perspectives. And that's real advocacy. And that's definitely something to cry tears of joy for, right?
Thank
I know
you.
you got me all teary now. Now let's dive into some statistics. According
Yeah.
to the American Cancer Society, the 5-year relative survival rate for women with metastatic breast cancer is just 30%. But access to early detection drastically improves outcomes when you can get it. What changes do you think need to happen in the healthcare system, especially around screening guidelines, insurance denial, and how we listen to younger women?
I was just speaking to somebody about this, and I just don't understand how, if anyone has anything abnormal happen to their body. I had never had a cyst in my breast. I had never had anything even remotely close. Why was that not a trigger for me to be allowed to get every test? A biopsy, I had an ultrasound, but biopsy, mammogram, PET scan, like that should be the number one, like, oh my gosh, something is not right. We need to test immediately. The thought behind it is, oh, well, it's probably nothing. You've never ever had anything wrong with you. You're great. Like, you'll be fine. That's not the mentality that needs to be had. It needs to be something abnormal is happening in your body. We need to figure out what's happening right now. And I mean, I get it. In the pharmaceutical world, having a sick person is um much more profitable than a healthy person, but just to give someone 2 extra scans to kind of figure out what's going on in their body. And I mean, I could have been stage 4 when I went in the first time. We have no idea. We will never know. But I would like to think that I wasn't, and I could be a stage 1, stage 2, and I would still be advocating, but I wouldn't be living a nightmare every single day of my life. And, you know, not knowing if I'm going to be a mother, or knowing if I'm ever going to see my nieces and nephew get married or graduate. And every day is such a blessing, and to live that way is very eye-opening, and in a way I appreciate it. But it's unacceptable that we are so brushed aside, especially as women in healthcare, when our bodies are so much more complex than the male body. Why are we so okay dismissing women when they're coming to anybody, doctors, programs, foundations, saying, this isn't normal for me, can we figure it out? And they just dismiss you.
You're turning your lived experience into a legislative call to action, right? And honestly, excuse me, that your lived experience into what I call this legislative call to action. And honestly, that's what public health needs. We need more patients turned policymakers, because only when you start advocating for change and really start advocating, it will change happen. Otherwise, the insurance companies will never listen. Now, beyond treatment and advocacy, you've shared dreams, returning to modeling, exploring acting, and maybe even becoming a mom through surrogacy, you just mentioned. And hope like that isn't just emotional, it's chemical.
Yes.
What are you most excited about right now? And how do you hold on to that vision when life throws you so many curveballs?
I think right now, just the opportunities like this that I'm giving, and I have some opportunities I can't speak upon just yet, and it's just I'm finding ways to live my dreams in a different capacity than I ever thought. Everything that I'm doing is not for the reasons I dreamt of when I was a little girl, the publicity and the magazine covers, but I know it's so much greater than myself. And it truly is just the community and the support that I have from so millions of people telling me that what I'm doing is important, that this is giving me a purpose in life that I never knew I would have. And I'm just leaning into it, and I'm allowing it to bring me opportunities that I'm excited for, that I know will bring change. And when you speak about politics and legislation, that's kind of where I'm kind of throwing my energy at, and hoping that I can connect with those that will help me in that capacity, and we can make changes, real changes. So I just dream, and I just follow those dreams, and just, oh, that my vision boards, the secret books, just everything. I'm just manifesting the future that I always wanted for myself, despite being handed a diagnosis that I am a terminal cancer patient. I do have a disease that I may not be here next year, and it's just the reality of the situation. But I choose to look beyond that, and to just know that I deserve to live my dreams and go after them just as anybody else does. And just because I'm a sick person doesn't mean that I can't have all of that. And it's just a lot harder for me, but it means it's that much sweeter when I get to those end goals.
You're a light, Philecia, not
Mhm.
because you haven't been through the darkness, but because you bring others with you toward the light. your whole spirit is just gorgeous.
Thank
Now,
you.
every week on the Hydration with Heart, we end with something soul-centered. So if a woman was just diagnosed with breast cancer this morning and she's scared, confused, and overwhelmed, what would you say to her if she were listening right now?
When I get messages like that or thoughts like that, I tell them to lean into your community, to clean up your group. If there's anybody that does not have your back 1000% to the most positive extent that you can, if they don't have every fiber of their being believing in you, they need to go. Goodbye. They're not worth it. And that goes for your care team as well. If you have any doubts about your care team, if you're just feeling like uncomfortable or uneasy, I fired my first oncologist. I knew she was not going to help me survive. She gave me the wrong chemo, it was too strong, and now I'll forever be testing my heart to make sure that my heart doesn't fail or become more damaged. And I tell everyone, if you don't feel the connection with your care team and with your support team, you need to change that. And you need to find those people that are going to do everything the way that you need it, not the way that they think that you should do it. And I'm so blessed to have a community that when I say, I don't feel good, I need to go to the ER, they go, okay, go. They're never second guessing me. They're never judging me for living my life and modeling and acting when I'm a sick person, when I should be, concentrating on other things or relaxing and doing stuff like that. It's just lean into the people that want to support you in the way that you need to be supported. And I promise you, it will bring you so much clarity and space in your life to concentrate on you and your journey and surviving your cancer. It's not anybody else's. And there's so much criticism for cancer patients, which I have never understood. People don't understand why you did this, or how come you have a GoFundMe? Why can't you just do this? I would have done that. That doesn't matter in your journey. What matters is what is right in your intuition and in your gut, and to follow it no matter what anybody tells you.
Beautiful. Sometimes what we need most isn't data, it's a hand to hold. And that's exactly what you just gave every woman out there. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we are at the end of our date, my dear. I can't thank you enough for being open and transparent. Thank you for showing us that survival isn't just about staying alive. It's about reclaiming your voice, your story, and your power.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity and the support. It just means the absolute world. We're just going to touch more lives than I ever could have dreamt. So thank you. Thank you.
To follow Philecia's journey, head over to her Instagram page at Philecia, Philecia. This has been the Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, because hydration is healing and every story that hydrates the soul deserves to be heard. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut.
Discover the refreshing taste of 100% pure coconut water that actually tastes great. Naturally sweet with no artificial flavors or added sugar. It's packed with electrolytes to keep you hydrated throughout your day. And with 10% of profits going to charity, every sip makes a difference. Pure taste, pure goodness. Experience nature's Gatorade. Visit Once Upon a Coconut or naturesgatorade.com.